it was just horrible. I couldn't really think straight at all. I just wanted to get out of there, get away.
Originally, sharking came to my attention through some of the feminist networks and groups we work with, that basically men, often younger men, are attacking women, coming to them in the street, removing their clothing very violently, revealing sexual organs, genitals, breasts. And when I started to research, I was horrified to find internet websites with this kind of stuff. We've known for a while that there are voyeur sites happening, men placing cameras in women's changing rooms, be that clothing shops, be that swimming pools, all kinds of places, photographing their naked bodies, then posting them on the internet without the woman's knowledge, consent, permission. And now these things are happening in the street, they're being filmed while they happen, and it's being broadcast on the internet.
It was about 6 months ago. I was coming back from a party, it was my friend's birthday party, and I was a little bit drunk. I decided to go home by myself as I only lived down the road. As I was walking home, it was quite dark. The 3 boys jumped in front of me and stopped me from walking any further. One of them grabbed my top and lifted it up, and the other lifted my skirt up at the same time, and one of them was filming me. It was just horrible, and they ran off laughing.
The typical victim of sharking usually would be, if they can, an attractive female, but not always attractive, but usually female, who is on their own, someone who is fairly vulnerable. They do tend to pick out people that are fairly vulnerable, and someone that is usually distracted or carrying something, in other words, engaged in something else, and less likely to A, realise what's going on, and B, be able to do anything about it. They quite simply move in very quickly and remove or disturb clothing to expose genitalia, breasts, etc. This requires the female, generally speaking, to be wearing that kind of clothing. They don't generally target people with hard, fast clothing that can't be moved around.
I always cover up now. Don't wear skirts. If I have to wear a skirt, then I wear tights. I don't like going out late to parties. Always come home earlier. Always leave with a friend, go with a friend. My confidence has really dropped. I just don't like going out anymore.
In the very short term, these individuals react in a similar way to people that have had serious sexual assault or rape, in that they're distraught, shocked. They wish somehow or other to remove the trace of what's happened. So their first reaction often is not to chase the perpetrator or bring someone in or cry for help or to actually bring the police force in or anything that you should really do and would logically obviously do. Often the first reaction is to kind of regain their clothing, regain their composure, and in a way try and shrug it off and pretend it never happened.
Every woman's response varies. There is no right response. Some women feel they want to go to the police and have that put onto record, and get that, support from that legal framework. Some women are very, very shocked and very distressed and don't tell anyone at all or retreat into themselves.
I guess I didn't tell anyone because I thought no one would think anything of it. I think most of my mates would have just laughed about it, and my best friend would have wanted to know things. I just didn't want to talk about it.
It's about the seriousness being taken out of sexual crimes. A recent incident with London Dungeons, it was in a newspaper yesterday, where they decided to reopen a Jack the Ripper exhibition, and they were trying to recruit women involved in prostitution to act as the murdered prostitutes in this exhibit. How can they think it's funny, amusing, entertaining to have this thing going on? So it's part of a much wider movement of people not taking these issues seriously.
Unfortunately, most people find someone losing their dignity and composure to be humorous, and often we find ourselves laughing at things that we really regret and we try and contain it because, you know, it's not nice to see someone who is perhaps elderly stumble over a pavement and fall over. But often we have this gut response to actually, you know, see it as a humorous or entertaining event. And that initial, particularly when it's seen on video, which could and often is proposed as being acted out and not real. Mostly these situations are real, and therefore it might be all right to laugh at it because it might be somebody just acting.
Well, sharking is a relatively trivial activity in the sense that it's very easy to do something of that sort of stage a happening in public using very primitive media. Remember, you only need 3 people. You need somebody to hold the camera, you need somebody to do the pulling down of the trousers, and somebody to be the victim. It's a very easy thing to stage. There is no telling from the footage itself whether or not it is staged or real.
I couldn't go to the police. I just couldn't. They probably wouldn't even believe me. I've never heard about it before, so why should they? And then they'd just get my friends involved and my parents. Everyone from the party would know. Everyone would just know.
Across countries, it's treated in different ways. In some countries it is seen more of a kind of prank, of a naive sort of adolescent thing to do, whereas in other countries it is now, as it properly should be, is treated as sexual assault. It is quite a serious assault, and needless to say, because of the use of the videoing taking place by, you know, often the second party, that in itself doubly traumatises the victim. I mean, you don't often get a situation where serious sexual crimes are actually recorded, and when they are, it is doubly tragic, it is doubly traumatising for relatives, etc., and therefore is probably more of a crime than straightforward sexual assault where it's not recorded.
I just wish that videos and cameras hadn't even been invented at times. This sort of stuff wouldn't have happened then.
There's nothing about a piece of technology that forces me to do anything with it. What it does have are what is sometimes called affordances. It affords me the opportunity to do all kinds of things. So a nice little camera, for example, that can also be a video camera with microphones and everything. It is a fully functioning media platform, this thing. I can produce, I can even edit in a very limited fashion, and share the content that I make on this platform. In the case of sharking, the phone is mobile, easily concealed. It can be easily carried around in public without attracting any attention. So a camera, big camera, is going to be noticeable. It's hard to sneak up on somebody with a full-size video camera. It's very easy to sneak up on somebody with this.
I'm really worried about if the pictures get on the internet. There's films and things that could go on YouTube. All my friends and I have got Facebook. It could be on people's profiles just as a joke, and they don't even know what it is. But it'll be me on their profiles. My friends might see it, my family, my parents. There's a chance it could get round school. You can have anything on the internet these days. It might be out there now and I don't even know it. And there's no way to control it. There's no way of knowing.
The big change that's happened with online media in the past few years is the emergence of user-generated content, where sites rely on the users to upload content, and the function of the sites is to get participation from people. So instead of them giving stuff to us, we produce collectively produce what's on the sites. That comes with all kinds of problems. So for example, now that we have, as individuals and as groups and so on, we have platforms to broadcast our stuff on, that can give rise to all kinds of interesting social problems, because media platforms have some troubling uses.
One of the problems with the internet, and it's we have to emphasize it's a very powerful tool, because needless to say there are more people fishing through the internet at any one time than will be actually sat in front of television screens across the globe. Therefore it reaches a lot of people. It's a very powerful publicity machine, if you like. And to attract attention, people tend to push boundaries fairly rapidly on the internet. You get quite rapid turnover of ideas, of new cliches that are thrown about. And unfortunately, the videoing of serious events such as killings and now these assaults in the form of sharking will fall into that sort of medium very easily. They may be sort of banned to some level, which might help in the families and friends of victims, but probably not be able to be banned across the globe, and there's no way you're going to ban something totally with the internet. So therefore out there will always be this boundary pushing, and needless to say, to go one better than having, or one worse than having someone assaulted on video for everyone to see, perhaps having someone assaulted in a worse way, in a more sort of unconventional way, and probably killed and so on. There is no particular limit apart from people themselves saying, I'm bored with this.